Okay, welcome to Yerushalmi Sotah Daf. We're recording this from Mexico City at a wedding here. So we're going to start by the two dots, about 7 lines in the bottom on Daf Lamed, on Daf Lamed Chesed Beis. Pitum Shemen HaMishcha, right? So they're mefatem the Shemen HaMishcha. Va'ato kachacha b'sam rosh mod roch hamesh meis. The Kido Chamesh Meis, B'Shekel HaKodesh, Shehin Elef HaChamesh Meis Monim. Altogether, you have B'Sam Rosh, Modro Chamesh Meis, V'Kido Chamesh Meis, which works out to be Elef HaChamesh Meis Monim, which is 1,500 Monim. So let's just see the carbonated Shehin Elef HaChamesh Meis Monim. The Mefash Krok Diksiv, Kinam Boisim. Uknei baisim, kol echad lo yahoyu ela masayim v'chamishim manim. Those were each 250 manim. And the carbonated brings down the kasha hodik se v'kinu ambasim achtzisa chamishim masayim, which the mashma says half of it was 250. The mashma kula chamesh meis, now 1,500. Yerushalmi exes akasavi sheika chamesh meis monim v'chaytzehu. In other words, the total isn't 250. All you take 500. Like kech mimenu masayim v'chamishim monim l'shem l'mishcha. And from that, you're going to use 250 for the shem l'mishcha. Okay, agavna marinum b'nachis. Maybe son shalom v'chaytzehu. U'makar v'chetzo mechzo avad. Means the Torah wants you to take, right, a full Isarin, and then you split it in half. Right. So the Moed Roar altogether is Chamesh Meis. The Kinam Boisam is another 500, of which was 250, and then the Kida was Chamesh Meis. So altogether you have 1,500. Fine. The Shemen Zayis Hin, and he took a Shem Zayis Hin, Shahem Shnei Mesalog, a Hin is 12 log, Shaboy HaYisholek Esa Ikrin, the Rebmei. Rebmei says in the Shemen Zayis he cooked the roots. That's what Rebmei said. He actually cooked them in water. Once they were cooked and saturated with water, then he would put the oil on top. Once the oil absorbed the reich of the besamim, like the patamim, the professional incense makers would manufacture, so this it's like the Pnei Moshe says, "Hadoid ksiv, like measure zeh ksiv, umitchilas lo haya eliyad beis lugin." How can it be? In other words, how did you end up with? You start with 12 lugin and you're cooking it, you're not going to end up with 12 lugin. So it must be Elohim Hoshel, he cooked them in water, and then afterwards he would add the oil. Reb Meir says it was all Ma'asenisim anyway. So you started with 12 and you ended with 12 of the Shemen. Right. Like we just, like Rebuta says, we see the whole thing from beginning to end was Ma'asenisim. What is this? Like Reb Meir says, right? So you're going to tell me now, it wasn't even enough to go through all the eitzim, all that stuff. It wasn't even enough for that. The fire, right? So it wasn't right. It was the fire would absorb. Obviously, it was cook out some of the oil. But eitzim boiling, the eitzim themselves would absorb. The vat that was cooked in boilas. And from that there was somehow enough. Throughout history. Fine. Okay, once we got onto that, the first one in line, he requires Mashiach. Melech ben Melech, Einaton Mashiach. However, Melech ben Melech doesn't require Mashiach. Hashem says, Kum Mashchehu Kizehu. This is the one HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Shmuel, Zeh Torah Mashiach, only this one ain't Benai Torah Mashiach. Son doesn't require Mashiach. Aval Kohen Gadol, Ben Kohen Gadol, I feel this Hadoros, even if it's hereditary, so one goes after the other, right? Father to son, they all need Tuna Mashiach. Aval Kuli Kaim Lasid Lavai, and somehow all this, again, going back to the original point of the Nes, all this remains still Lasid Lavai. Nemes Hashem and Ashchas Kodesh, he has Lila Dorsechem. Ein Moishchen. Now the Gemara, once we were talking about this being Moshech Malachim, Ein Moshech Nasa Malachim El Gabe Mayim. Shenem, it says, V'rikavtem Shloim B'ni, David tells them, Ala prayed on the mule, Ashali, V'iradatem Oisel Gichoin, to the Nachal Gish, and Moshech Oisei Sham, Tzadik HaKoy V'nas Nanavi. So that was, it was Moshech, therefore it's a simon that the Malchus should be Moshech. Ein Moshech Malachim not Pnei Machloikis. Now, Pnei Malachim is only if there's some kind of Machloikis. Pnei Man Imshech Shloim. Pnei Machloikis Shaladenia, which happened, the famous Haftarah. Yayosh was Pnei Atalia. Yehu Pnei Yoram. So Gemara says, one second, Yehu and Yoram, they were Malach Yisrael. Malach Yisrael didn't have the Shemin HaMeshchas. Like King Siv Kumash Chayuki Zehu, Zeh Torah Mashiach, they Malach Yisrael to the Mashiach. So when it says, yeah, you're right, scratch that, Yayochas Mipnei Yayakim Achiv. Shaygadol Mimano Shtei Shanim. Gemara says, well, one second, Lo Yoshio Ganzoi, Hada, right, so, but didn't Yoshio put it away? So where did Yochas and Yayakim, they came afterwards, what were they nimshach with? Well, it says, Hada Amro Bafar Simon Mishchu, an imitation oil. So if that's the case, I think the Kabbalah brings it down, then you can go back and say even Malchi Yisrael, because we're talking about over here, we're talking about Farsiman. They didn't actually use the real Shemin HaMeshcha. So you can say even them, you don't have to scratch Yehu and Yehum. Fine. Ein Moshkenas Malachim, Elam in Keren from a horn. Sha'ol, because a horn's Kayim. Sha'ol v'yehu nimshchu min apach. A pach is made out of earthenware, and the only tikkun for earthenware is to break it. So it's not a good simon for Malchus. Shoyis Malchus Eveus is a temporary Malchus anyway. David Shloim nimshchu min Keren, Shoyis Malchus Kayim, as we know. Ein Moshkenas Malachim Kayanim. Melech Karnak by the Chashmonon, they don't get Mashiach. Amr Yudin and Tadaria, that was part of his name. Al Shem, Lo Yasser Shevet Yehuda, and they don't get right. That's what you only can be from Yehuda. Amr Achibar Hada, Al Shem Loman Yaruch Yamim Amamlachta, Hu Von Avit Kerev Yisrael. And Maksiv, as we say after this pasuk, Lo Yelakayanim Halavim. So Lokanavim, they don't get it right. So therefore, we're not Moshe them. Amr Yochanan Hu Yochanan Hu Yochas. Yochanan is your Yachas. But you might understand, because if it says Habachor Yochanan, it says in the pasuk Habachor Yochanan. Now it means to say, right? The Yakum Gadol me Yachas Haya. So he's saying if Yakum is older than just reading from the Kabbalah, Eksiv Habachor Yochanan LaElam Rino Yakum Gadol me Yachas Haya, right? And if you're telling me that that who Yochanan was older than Yochanan was. So you tell me, how can it be Yachas? And we said, no, he wasn't Bechor. Yochanan doesn't mean he was the oldest. He's Bechor Malchus. He was the first one to be king. Yochanan who Shalom who Tzidkiyo. I've Oksiv Shlishi Tzidkiyo Revi Shalom. Sounds like two different people to me. No, Shlishi LeDoros, Revi LeMalchus. He was Revi for Malchus. Tzidkiyo, where did that name come from? Shetzidik all of a sudden. That was Nebuchadnezzar was Matzdik all of a sudden. Right? He made him swear that he's not going to reveal his secrets. Shalom, why was he called Shalom? Should be Yom Shalom and Malchus based David. Unfortunately, that was the end of Malchus based David in his times. Lo Shalom Havishmei V'lo Tzidkiyo Havishmei. Gemara says by emphasis his name wasn't Shalom, his name wasn't Tzidkiyo. Elamasna. Masni, his name was Masni. Adoy Diksiv, Vayimloch Melech Baveles, Masni Adoy Tachtov, Vayisav Eshemoi, Tzidkiyahu, right, Kotz, I forget the Lashon Pasuk there, he said, Kotz Adechol of Zadin, and that's what happened. He ended up revealing the secret of Nebuchadnezzar. Fine. Now we're going to go through a bunch of calculations, really simple. We're just cheshboning out where exactly the luchs in the Torah were. The Am was built, we know there's Tfachim Beinanim and small ones. So Rabbi Yochanan says, the Aron was made of Am of 6 Tfachim. Mantana Am Shashit Tvachim. That's what Meir. The time of Rabbi Meir. Kol Amos Bebeininis, which is 6 Tvachim. Al Da'at Rabbi Meir. Dam Am Shashit Tvachim. Hayarein. Also, that was made out of Am of 6 Tvachim. Orka Shalar Chamisha. Also, must have been 15. Right? Ksiv Amasayim V'Chetzi Arkoi. Ama Ashita. Ama Ashita. So that's already you're at 12. Apagos Ama. So is another plus is 3. 12 plus 6. plus 3 is 15. And there were 4 luchas in it. Shnaim shvurim, shnaim shleimim, right? Shiva luchas. The ksiva sheshibata v'samta ma'arim. V'aluchas kol echad v'echad arkan was the length was shisha tvachim. The rachvan was shloisha. 10 rachvan shel luchais. The rachvan of the luchais, which were 3. Larka shel arim, which is 15. So you have 4, so you have 12. Nishdasham shloisha tvachim, right? 15 minus 12 is 3. And you 10, and we're going to go with the carbonated girsa over here. Mikan l'kaisel zeh, right? Chatzi tefach mikan l'kais. Temehem chatzi tefach l'chol kaisel on either side because it was thick. Chatzi tefach. So nishtay shnei tefachim l'sefer Torah. So you had 2 tefachim left for the sefer Torah. The sefer Torah was going to fit. Was 2 tefachim. The circumference of the sefer Torah, the thickness of the Torah when it's all rolled into one was actually 2. And the carbonated goes through that chevron. Rachvay shalorin, the width of them was tisha tvachim. The ksiv says am v'chetzi, and remember each one is 6. 6 plus a half. Rachvay amsa is ishta, was 6. Or palgus amsa, a half of it is 3. Va'arba luchas haybosh, shnayim shvurim, we said shnayim shleimim. The ksiv sheshibat v'santam, va'luchas haykolechad v'echad orkan shisha tvachim. Right? The sen orkan shel luchas, l'rachvay shel aron. So you have a total of, right? So you have a total of 6. 9. So we have a total of 6 minus, right? So you have 9, which was the total width, minus 6. So you have 3. For each wall, and we'll just go with the carbonated gears over here. L'kaisel zeh v'chatzi tefach v'kan l'kaisel zeh and v'tvachaim l'shilut malkum shesefer Torah v'munach, and you have over there too for where the sefer Torah was, so you can get it in and out if necessary. Fine. Actually no, it was 5 tvachim. Man Tana Amashach Mishat Tvachim, Rabbi Yehuda, that's Rabbi Yehuda Tanin Tama. We learned to Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Habinyan Shishat Tvachim. When we measure the amos of the actual building, the base of knows the building itself, that was 6 Tvachim. Shal Kalim, however, the Kalim were Chamisha. Vein Aroin, Vein Aroin Kli, Aroin Avati is a Kli. Al Tati Rabbi Yehuda Amashach Mishat Tvachim Hayar Aroin Asoi Arkashon Shneim Asa Tvachim. Umechtzes 12 and a half tvachim. How do we get that? The ksiv says umasayim b'chetzi arkam. Amsa is chamisha, v'amsa chamisha. You have 10. Upalgos amsa 3 and palgos 2.5, which gives you total 12 and a half. Abba again avaluch sayi boy shneim shleim shneim shvurim. The ksiv hashashi ba'aret v'sam tamarim. V'aluch sayi kol echad v'echad arkon shisha tvachim. That remains the same. Rachban shloisha tvachim. So you have width. Now you have 4 of them. 4 times 3 gives you 12. So 10 rachban shaluchas orka shal arnish time sham chatzi tefach. So you're left with a total of half there because you have a total of 12, and the whole thing was 12 and a half. The whole length was 12 and a half. Take off etzba l'ksalim, and etzba, which is a half tefach for each wall. Etzba l'ksalim mikan, etzba l'ksalim mikan. Fine. And you can v'rachva shalorin shivat v'achan omechza. The width was 7.5. The ksiv says v'ama v'chetzi rachboi. Amsa chamisha tvachim, like we said. Opalgos amsos terrain opalgos 7.5. Rabbi luchas hayu boy before luchas net shneim shleim shvurim. The ksiv sheshi ba'arta v'sam tamarim. Luchas hayu kol echad v'echad arkan shisha tvachim. Each one 6 tvachim. Rachvan shloisha tvachim. 10 arkan. The length. Shel luchas l'rachva shel arnish dam sham tefach mechzer. We had a total of 6 out of 7.5. Etzba l'ksal mikan, etzba l'ksal mikan, b'chetzi tefach mikan, b'chetzi tefach mikan, and that's l'shilut in order to be able to get the hands in case you have to remove the. Obviously, there's no room according to the sheet for the sefer Torah. Fine. Kate said also it's also alright. Now we're going to once we're talking about Torah and how to do it. Mamish this week's parasha Truma. Abchanina Shloish Shalosh Tevis Hason. He made 3 separate boxes. Hason Shtaim Shel Zav, Acha Shel Eitz, 2 of gold, 1 of wood. Nasan Shel Eitz, B'Shel Zahav, B'Shel Zav, B'Shel Eitz. So the first one he had was the gold one, then he inserted the wood one, and into that he put the gold one, Tzipohu, and he covered the top. Adoi the Ksiv, it's piece I says of Torah. What does it say that with his banner for? It's extra. I mean, obviously you know he's covering it. Lahavi's fosayan, and the upper lip, the flat upper lip, has to be completely covered. This we don't see the wood at all. So he actually made it 1 box. It's ipohu, and he covered it with a thin layer of gold. It's a piece of says of Torah. Why does it say that? So it's not only because Mashmo said the Pashup Shad because he covered the actual wood in gold. So he even between the boards that he used, he had to make sure that was covered with gold as well. We will see you Mitz Hashem tomorrow, live from Mexico City. Galtev.